TV360, I am Thelma Okoro. A terrible accident at Ojuelegba Bridge has killed 3 people after a trailer carrying a loader container fell off the bridge yesterday. Though rescue officers arrived at the scene, there were no details on the casualty figure, but the chances of there being a survivor is very low as the heavy container crushed the cars along with the passengers in them. Eyewitnesses say the trailer fell on an unidentified SUV, killing the 2 people in it, while a white-colored car was also partially crushed. But fortunately, the occupants had been scampered safety on time. Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, has once again said insurgency in Nigeria will soon come to an end. The army chief said the Boko Haram menace will be tackled before the end of the year. His statement comes days after President Muhammadu Buhari gave service chiefs a 3-month deadline to tackle insurgency in the country. Boko Haram has killed thousands and forced about 1.5 million people to flee in a 6-year battle to set up an Islamic State in the northeast region of the country. On Tuesday, the Nigerian army announced it had recaptured the town of Gambaro Ngala in Borno State, northeast Nigeria, from the Boko Haram insurgents. President Muhammadu Buhari has warned that with the fall in oil prices, there will be a huge decline in Nigeria's economy if her resources are not managed prudently. The president gave the directive during a meeting with members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. In a statement released by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, the President urged accountants to take their audit reports seriously. The President said, with the declining prices of oil exports, Nigeria must begin to properly manage its available resources or face developmental stagnation and decline. Former Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Gutu Akpabio, has been flown abroad for medical treatment as a result of injuries sustained in a car crash earlier this week. Akpabio, who is also the minority leader of the Nigerian Senate, was involved in a car crash on Monday after his car collided with another car. He was discharged yesterday but has now been flown abroad for further treatment. Meanwhile, the Federal Road Safety Corps on Wednesday said it would investigate circumstances that led to the accident. A group known as the Afenifere Renewal Group has criticized President Muhammadu Buhari over key political appointments made by him. The Pan-African Socio-Political Group, in a statement Tuesday signed by its publicity secretary, Kunle Fomorio, said President Buhari failed to make a strong first impression following anxious agitation across the country over recent presidential appointments. According to the group, the appointments have created many confusing interpretations instead of galvanizing the country towards an expected course to rebuild Nigeria as charted in APC's manifesto. The Afenifere group also called on the new administration to create a harmonious relationship between nationalities across the country by appointing people from all tribes rather than just northerners. As the countdown to President Buhari's first 100 days in office continues, there has been a growing outrage over his appointment of some key officials into his administration. Muda Yusuf, the Director General of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, says there has not been much progress on the part of government towards creating an enabling environment for businesses to thrive across the country. Speaking at an event in Lagos organized by GEMS 3, a group which supports improved business environment in Nigeria, the LCCI boss explained that if a favorable business environment is not created, this could be detrimental to the country.
The variables that impact on business performance cut across all levels of government. And I'd like to compartmentalize them very briefly into what I call the macroeconomic issues. We have infrastructure issues, we have policy issues, and we have issues related to institutions. These are the four broad categories of challenges that business environment face. Some of these can be fixed at the level of the state. Some can only be fixed at the level of the federal government. Some at the level of the government. So we need to recognize in this context the limitation of even the states to fix some of the business environment issues. But that does not diminish the fact that the state has a role to play in improving the business environment. First, if we look at the macroeconomic issues, the one that is biting very hard now has to do with the CBN policy on the foreign exchange market. A lot of businesses are facing a lot of challenges, which at our own level, we have been trying to engage businesses. We are all aware about the list of 41 items that the CBN said she will not have access to the foreign exchange market. Although the CBN has said it is not a ban, but in practice it is a ban. Because if you cannot have access to forex, how do we import? And to make matters worse, you can't even deposit money into your domiciliary account. So if you cannot access the official forex, you're able to access forex somewhere, you cannot deposit money. So it's a major issue. It is not a Lagos state government issue, but it's a major issue affecting businesses. And I've been getting quite a lot of inquiries and expression of concern about this matter. And in our own little space, we are trying to engage the authorities. We have engaged the CBN at a stakeholders forum some few weeks ago. Unfortunately, nothing has changed. We are holding another roundtable on Friday to do an impact assessment of the policy and make appropriate recommendations to government. Then there is the issue of the cost of fund. Issue of credit is a big issue. Again, to some extent, I know the Lagos state government has been doing something for micro enterprises, microfinance and so on, but it remains a big issue. High cost of fund, the interest rate is very high, but more importantly is access to credit, especially for the small and micro enterprises. That is an issue that businesses are grappling with. Then at the level of policy, we have things that have to do with monetary policy, for instance. I've talked about the exchange rate. You all know about what we call monetary policy tightening of the CBN, which has been, pushing interest rates high every now and then. Then we have the trade policy. Trade policy has to do with the policy that guides the flow of import and exports. That has also created and sometimes some serious dislocations for businesses. I'm talking now of tariffs. Sometimes you get to the port, tariffs are moved up, they are moved down. It affects manufacturers, it affects those who are in the business of commerce. So it's a big issue because there's a lot of inconsistency in the tariff policy of government. Sometimes it's import prohibition that you have. Now, the latest one is the common external tariff, which is affecting some segments of the manufacturing sector, although the idea is to promote economic integration. But already, a lot of manufacturers are expressing concern about the implication of the common external tariff for business, because it's going to collapse a lot of barriers, it's going to reduce import duty. In fact, for some products, import duty has been reduced to zero. And because of the high production costs in this economy, competitiveness has become an issue for those who are in manufacturing.
We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll look at international and business stories. Don't go away.
Hello, you're welcome. You're watching the Funny White Man Show, which is the biggest, the brightest, and the most entertaining show in Africa.
Funny white man, funny white man, funny white man, but this is way you talk, it's too much. Give me 5,000 man, that's you. It's too much. So you get it like, when she move along the street, yeah, me should like that, I'm going girl. My own people, actually. Yeah, fine, it's fun. I enjoy it. And I'm one of those very few, I'm forever taking it personal. I will listen 160 million Nigerians are corrupt. How? My brother, I'm looking for you.
Yeah, but it's a growth, and this is the time to build business and know the pitfalls and know what to do and what not to do. But there are months where you get business and months.
You know how we do, how we train. We did the way you did.
Hello, you welcome. You watching Trending Matters on the Funny White Man Show. Of course, we will bring you trending issues just to entertain and tickle your fancy.
Welcome back. You're watching TV360 News now. To business stories. Head of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), Emmanuel Ibekachiku, says plans are being put in place to curb the rampant cases of oil theft in Nigeria within 8 months. Kachiku said the corporation was working on a range of far-reaching options designed to end the ugly episodes of crude and petroleum products theft within the next 8 months. He added that the frequency of the attack on pipeline products is a major reason for the deadline. The corporation also said it was working towards the deployment of drones across the nation's territorial waters to monitor the inwards and outwards movement of oil-bearing vessels. The NNPC GMD explained that though the corporation was working diligently with law enforcement agencies to curb cases of oil theft, the ultimate security for the critical oil and gas assets lies squarely with the host communities. Nigeria President Muhammadu Buhari has also condemned the increasing theft of oil products in the country, saying about 250,000 barrels per day of crude oil is stolen in the country. Oil prices fell on Wednesday as concerns about the global economy intensified worries that an oversupply of crude could last longer than expected. Wednesday's fall compounded an 8% drop in Brent and U.S. crude prices on Tuesday, which ended a 25% three-season surge, the largest three-day gain since 1990. Brent crude for October was down 70 cents at $48.86 a barrel. U.S. crude for October fell $1 to $44.41 a barrel. A global glut of oil caused by high U.S. production and record crude pumping in the Middle East has been weighing on oil prices. U.S. President Barack Obama has secured a major victory after Democratic Senator Barbara Mikulski of Maryland announced support for the Iran nuclear deal. The announcement means that at least 34 senators support Obama's expected veto of a Republican resolution to disapprove the deal. Nearly all Republicans have come out against the agreement, arguing it sets up weak standards for international inspectors to monitor whether Iran is complying with the agreement and would allow Iran to build nuclear weapons in a few years. Only 2 Democratic senators, Chuck Schumer of New York and Bob Menendez of New Jersey, have announced they oppose the deal. Votes are expected after lawmakers return from a summer recess next week, but before September 17th, the statutory deadline for Congress to deal on the deal, but the GOP leaders have not announced when those votes will take place. South Africa's parliament has rejected investigating President Jacob Zuma for possible impeachment for allowing Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir to evade an arrest warrant and leave the country in June. Bashir, who is accused of masterminding genocide in Darfur, was allowed to leave an African Union summit in South Africa and fly home in defiance of a court ruling ordering his detention under a warrant from the International Criminal Court. South Africa, a member of the ICC, is obliged to enforce warrants from the Hague-based tribunal. Mumusi Maimeni, who is the head of the opposition Democratic Alliance, which sponsored the motion put to lawmakers, urged members of parliament to vote to set up an ad hoc committee to look into the president's role. Parliament is dominated by Zuma's African National Congress ANC, and the motion was defeated by 211 votes against 100 in favor. 17 lawmakers abstained from the vote. To sports stories now, Super Eagles coach Sunday Olise has confirmed that goalkeeper Vincent Enyama has withdrawn from the Nigerian squad to face Tanzania in this month's 2015 African Nations Cup qualifiers. He, however, said he had no knowledge of the reason behind the keeper's decision to withdraw from the game. The coach said Enyama's late withdrawal has put him in a very tight and difficult situation. In his absence, CSKA Moscow winger Ahmed Musa is likely to captain the Eagles against the Tanzania this weekend, just as he did during a 1-1 draw against South Africa in May. Meanwhile, Carl Ikeme is likely to be selected in goal, though Eyimba goalkeeper Femi Thomas has been called up to replace Enyama. South African city Durban has been selected as the host city of the 2022 Commonwealth Games, becoming the first African city to hold the Games. Durban was announced as the host city following the withdrawal of Canada's Edmonton in February due to financial constraints. It is believed that awarding the Games to an African city for the first time could pave the way for South Africa to make another attempt to host the Olympics. Cape Town finished third in bidding for the 2004 event. The 2022 Commonwealth Games will be played from 18th July to 30th of July. We've come to the end of news now. Thank you very much for joining us. I am Thelma Okoro.